but I do think they're worth hearing. I wish someone had told me that when I was looking for my first job. And the two things are, the first one is, think about every day is a job interview. When you're student teaching, every day is a job interview. Someone's going to get to see how you do what you do, and that's going to be, it might be that you interview for a job at that school. It might be you go interview somewhere else, and someone in that interview knows someone you student taught with. So I've been doing this for 21 years, and it's amazing to me how many of the interviews I've been in, there was someone I'd either taught with or that knew someone I taught with. So you're not very anonymous, I guess is what I'm saying. So always do your best to show your best work ethic, show that you can be on time, that you can be dependable. Obviously that you know your content too, but that content stuff is very important. But also when you think about how we have to keep a building full of kids safe, and we got to be able to know what's going to happen to that. Being dependable is incredibly important. The second thing is be ready. I know those of you that are graduating, going to be looking for jobs in December, this was good advice for you, but it's also good advice for those of you down the road. You never know. There's no time of the year that people only hire. And I'm going to share the story again. The high school I went to, there was a teacher, a math teacher, who retired at noon in the middle of the day. He had figured out down to the last minute some half sick day he had used along the lines, so he left at noon. And as a kid, I remember thinking, why would he do that? Man, he must really hate this job. And then I thought, why would they let him do that? And now that I've done this, I realize, well, why would you keep that guy for one more minute if that's his attitude? And like I told the bunch next door, there are some of you here now, you think about it. If you get to go interview for somebody who's left in the middle of the day, the optimism, the enthusiasm that you can be replacing, they're probably hungry for somebody who's just like you. So you never know when people are going to be hiring. You never knew who's going to be hiring you. So always put your best side out there and always be ready.
Thank you so much, Mr.
I'm going to go because I have to get my daughter from
You are good to go. You are good to go.
All right.
Amanda Lee, TELL President.
Hello, welcome everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? Good. Okay. First, Dr. Ryle told me to do this, so I'm going to do this real quick. Dr. Nelson, can you stand up, please?
Me?
Yeah. Dr. Nelson. So yeah. All right. So Dr. Ryle said some of you APS students may not know. This is Dr. Nelson. She is a part of our lovely faculty at the School of Ed. Right now, she's teaching ESL and a couple of the school, or not the School of Ed, yeah, obviously we're School of Ed, the graduate classes and undergrad online. So I was just told to introduce her to you also. You know her. She's great. If you ever just want to talk to her, we love her. All right. So obviously we're not in our normal setting tonight. It's a little weird, but I'm really glad that you all decided to come. So tonight, after we get done, we're having a little get together at Dr. Brockman's house. I have the address and some directions. If you all want to come see those, I would put them on, but it's fine. We're good. So if y'all want to know, just come visit.
I'll help with that too.
Okay. Well,
We
Dr.
can
Ryle.
kind of caravan over there. It's only a couple miles from here, so it's on the way back toward Asbury.
Yeah. And do not forget to pay your membership fees. Please, $20. Because this is going to cover the whole semester. So, you know, it covers the banquet that we have at the end, but it also covers like the food and snacks that we have at all the other meetings. So just try to get those in, please. We appreciate it. So tonight we have the privilege of hearing from my 401 placement and my first placement for student teaching, Mrs. Jordan Seelig. I have a lovely introduction I was told to read, so I'm going to read it to you guys. But I can't see, so I'm going to have to hold my computer. Get ready. Dr. Brockman wrote this. So Dr. Brockman, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Brockman used to be the principal here the whole time that you have been here, right? No, just kidding. Not the whole time that you've been here.
The last 5 years.
The last 5 years. Okay, so Mrs. Seelig has been here for 9 years. Ever since she graduated from Asbury, you've been here, right? So all 9 years that she has been teaching, she's been here in this classroom, 4th grade, all 9 years. So pretty awesome. Okay, bear with me because I can't see. So, all right. After a thorough and intentional assessment of education programs across the state of Kentucky, Jordan Russ Seelig decided to pursue her teaching degree at Asbury University. Her research revealed that the School of Education program at Asbury was the best in the state, which I can agree with. When she joined the Asbury community, Jordan immediately recognized that her education experience would extend far beyond earning her teaching degree. The opportunities for Christian growth and service equipped her to be a light in her community. The professors in the education department proved to be invested in her success as a teacher and as a role model to her students. When she graduated in 2011, Jordan's goal was to be a Christian serving in the schools who would provide students with a mentor and a teacher who is loving, positive, and consistent. Jordan joined the teaching community at Warner Elementary School because it offered the opportunity she was seeking to impact the lives of students in a meaningful way. As a graduate of Asbury University, she was actively recruited by the principal at Warner. Jordan completed her practicum at Warner under the supervision of an Asbury graduate, and she appreciated the collaborative spirit that characterized the school as well as their mission to prioritize the needs of the students. As a representative of Asbury School of Education, Jordan evidenced integrity and was well prepared for the challenges that faced her as an educator. Jordan immediately excelled as a classroom teacher, team member, and Christian role model. As she has continued her career at Warner, she has served as a mentor to new teacher candidates as well as beginning teachers. Jordan has assumed leadership roles within the school and across the district, expanding both her influence and impact. In her 9th year as a teacher at Warner Elementary, Jordan was nominated for Teacher of the Year. She was selected for the recognition by a committee that included her peers as well as the administrative staff. After she was named Teacher of the Year at Warner, district officials observed and interviewed her in a rigorous process to identify the Teacher of the Year for Jessamine County. During opening day events for the 2019-20 school year, Jordan was recognized as the Elementary School Teacher of the Year in Jessamine County. Throughout her tenure at Warner Elementary School, Jordan has represented the moral integrity, servant leadership, and excellence in her profession that are reflective of Asbury University. Her decision to attend the best education program in the state led her to Asbury University and a community of Christians who are impacting the world. As she teaches the 4th grade students at Warner Elementary School, Jordan continues this mission and tradition as she makes a daily significant impact in the lives of children. So if you all will join me in welcoming Mrs. Jordan Seelig.
That's so funny to me because I feel like I'm such a down-to-earth, really honest and blunt teacher. So to hear those things from Dr. Brackman, it makes me sound all professional and nice. And okay, so I am used to 4th graders who don't look at me, and I have to put on a show, and I feel like I'm talking to the back wall every day. So it's very intimidating to have you guys actually like listening to me, and I'm not having to ask you to do all these things to participate. So feel free to text or whatever you need to do, but don't feel like you have to stare at me because this is very overwhelming for me. So I am going to tell you a little bit about myself, but I don't really think that's why you're here. I don't really think you need to know about me. I'm just going to share all the advice that I have for first-year teachers, and hopefully you'll get something. I do apologize, middle and high. I am elementary, but I do think I have like websites and resources and things like that that hopefully you could use in middle school and high school as well. So to start off, if you have any questions, please just raise your hand. I was going to do little question slips, but Amanda and Emily said that you guys don't need that. So just raise your hand and chime in and shout out whatever. I'm used to the kids doing that. So who am I? My husband's name is Matthew, and that's our son Camden. He turns 2 in December, and that's our dog Dallas. So that's just a little bit about me. I live in Richmond, Kentucky, and I drive 45 minutes to work every day. But I think this is where I'm supposed to be, so that's why I make the drive. I went to Asbury like they said. I majored in elementary education, and I have an emphasis in special education. I have student taught at 4th grade at Roseland Elementary, and then I student taught in kindergarten at the Village. I've taught for 9 years, and like Amanda has said, I have taught 9 years for all 4th grade. I don't want to leave unless they make me. 4th grade is my passion. I have my master's in rank 1 in school guidance counseling at Eastern Kentucky University. And I recommend that if you're someone like me who just loves the children and I really only care about the children. Yes, I love math and reading, but my bottom line is I want them to be the best version of themselves they can be. Go into school guidance counseling as your master's if that's something you want to go into. So just a heads up. I teach reading groups, math groups, writing, and science. I also know I talk fast, but Dr. Rowell said I have a lot planned, so I want to get going through it. So I was nominated for Teacher Warner of the Year, and then I did also very humbly win Jessamine County District of the Year. So that was why you're here, in case you were wondering. So I have advice for you all as new teachers, and take what you want. I'm just telling you my opinion on what I think would be great advice for you. First, you're never, ever, ever going to forget your very first class. My very first class is my babies. They're the ones that I still follow. They're going to be seniors this year, and it's killing me that they're seniors. And so I still go to their games. I'm still very invested. Now I can't do that as much now with my current class, but your first year class you will never ever forget. Your first year, be ready to learn a whole lot. In student teaching, you feel like you got it, and then the wall hits you the first day. When my first day, I remember, the bell rang, my kids sat down, and I was like, don't worry, the teacher's coming in a second. It's fine, because I was so used to having my cooperative teacher there the whole time. So, like, you feel like you have it, and you will. Asbury fully prepares you for your first year. I was very well prepared compared to like UK graduates and Eastern graduates. So you guys are prepared, but you do have a lot to learn. Be super flexible, open to new suggestions, build really strong relationships with your team. I can't say that enough. My team, everyone has strengths and weaknesses on our team, and if you really get to work with your team and dive in and are vocal, especially student teachers right now, I would really suggest being vocal in the team meetings. If you're just sitting there, taking it all in, you're gonna learn a whole lot more if you're giving suggestions, saying, I'll take this on, what can I do to help this? That's just an advice. First year, the biggest advice I got, take. So if you have a team that's gonna share things with you, take as much as you possibly can. Your first year, your goal is to survive and teach your students well. The second, third year, fourth year, that's when you can start giving back to your team. And what I mean by that is like creating assessments and things like that. If they already have really good assessments that they're using, take them and like make them work for your own classroom, but don't constantly recreate the wheel. One thing that was a big thing, and I think Asbury's changing this, when I left Asbury, I got like the highest scores in everything. So then when I got to my first teaching job and my principal was like, you have some developing, I almost cried in his meetings. Developing scores are the norm for first year teachers. So when you get observed by your principal for the first time, you are going to have a lot of developing. We have like old K-TIP, now we have J-Team. I'm a mentor, and by the end of their first year of teaching, they want you to have all developing. So just know that going in, that you are going to have developing scores, and that's okay. Even veteran teachers like me, you rarely get all accomplished. You visit accomplished land and you come back. So just be prepared. Like 1 year I'll have accomplished, and next year I won't have it in there. And I'm like, what, did I sneak that in now? But it's like just because they like are really particular about the rubric. Constantly reflect on your teaching. Your principals, they really want to see that you're trying out the new strategies. So be over-reflective and be willing to change, but stay true to who you are. With the kids, they just want to know that you love and care about them. Jessamine County has a lot of really needy kids and a lot of students who have horrible home lives. And if you can just be that positive person in their life that's consistent and that you love them and you care about them, my kids strive for consistency in my classroom. Some of my most challenging kids are just happy that I tell them the same thing every single day. So they want, even though they buck you and they like don't want to, and I have some challenging kids, like they want you to be consistent. So if you look around my room, like over there, I am one of the leaders for classroom learning systems. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that, but one of the components is like developing mission statements with your class. So at the beginning of the year, my kids worked with me and we developed like, who do we want to be as our classroom? And so we came up with that. Every single day my class stands and we describe who we are, what we're here for, and what our purpose is. And middle and high, I know they're also developing mission statements. So it's just like a way to develop classroom communities and make everyone feel like a part of the team. I also develop student and teacher roles, so the kids know what is my job as your teacher and what is your job as a part of my student. And then be super proactive, have high expectations. Make sure that you have a really clear behavior system. I have like the clips magnets moving down. My classroom, you're allowed to move back up. So that's something I do, and I really like classroom money because my first 3 years of teaching, I think I gave them enough, some of my parents were like, please do not give my child any more candy. But that's because I was like, they were participating, here's all the candy, I'll buy it for you. But now I love classroom money, so that's just my personal preference. So this is an example of my mission statement that my kids have come up for this year. And then, like I said, I have developed student roles with my kids. And they came up with all of these things, and there's more, but that's just like part of it. And then I've given teacher roles as well, and my kids came up with all of these as well. So it's really nice because if they're doing something, I'm like, well, that's actually not my job description. You said that's your job description. So it kind of like sets, like just like us when we get our first year job, your principal tells you your roles, and that's kind of nice with the kids. Something that I wish I knew my first year of teaching is to get a yearbook. Your first year, you're like young, ready to go, you know everyone's name. 9 years later, I know everyone's name, but not their last names. That's just a silly little piece of advice, but I wish I would have got a yearbook every year because you really do forget the children's names, and that bothers me. Like I said, don't recreate the wheel. All students respond differently, and they all need you at different levels. I have some kids that need me to talk and hear every silly little thing they possibly can tell me because they're just dying for someone to listen to. I have other kids who have wonderful home lives and literally just need me to teach them. Like, so they don't want that relationship with me. So just be prepared. Like, it was kind of hard for me at first. I was like, why doesn't everyone wouldn't tell me everything they did over the weekend? Well, some of them don't need me at that level. Some of them need me a whole lot more. So just be prepared for that. Be very aware of students who need crisis and serious emotional issues. I had a little girl that cried all the time in my classroom, and I like advocated for her, and later on she made really poor choices in life and hurt herself. So it's like, I wish back then I would have been overly advocating for her and overly aware of her issues. So be really cautious of those issues. Stand up for your students, focus on the standards, and then I really foster a lot of table and class discussions. If you can have your kids doing the majority of the work, it's less pressure on you. So the more they can talk and more, like, you guys know Kagan strategies, turn and tell your neighbor. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Things like that. The more they can do like that, the more they're going to learn. So I have for you some interview tips. Who's student teaching right now? Okay, I've been on the interview committee the last 5 years. So to me, this is what I would want to know if I was a student teacher, so hopefully this will help you. Be super confident, fake it until you make it. The principals really want to see that you know your stuff. This is the biggest advice I can give for in an interview. Back up every single answer you give with an example that you've actually done. So for example, like if you say like, in my classroom, I really have helped this kid with behavior, well then you need to tell step by step of everything that you did to help that kid with behavior. We have so many first year teachers that are interviewing for us, and they talk, but they prove nothing with an example. And it's like, well, you can tell me all day long that you're going to do these things, but until I hear specific examples of what you're doing, I don't believe you. So back everything up that you say. Also, we don't want to hear about your cooperative teacher. We already know your cooperative teachers are awesome because that's the reason you're in their classrooms. So really talk about what you've done in student teaching and what you plan on doing. Sound relatable, over talk about collaboration. I had a girl last year that I really wanted to hire, but like she never talked about that she was willing to stay after school with me to work. She also never talked about, like she kept talking about how she wanted to go home and get all her stuff done. And I was like, well, I don't really care what you do at home. Like I want to know what you're going to do at the school. So like really talk about that you're going to go out of your way to work with your team, learn from your teammates, things like that. It looks really good if you ask if they have a mentoring program for first year teachers, because this shows that you're wanting to learn. Have a set plan for how you plan to answer behavior questions. Behavior is like the make it or break it for interviews, I feel like. Literally, I'm like, nope, she has no class in management. We're not even going to consider her. So literally, step by step, this is what I'm going to do. The first time that they start misbehaving, this is what I'm going to do. The second time, this is what I'm going to do the third time. Principals should not be like until step 5, not step 3. So just, you all know that, you go to Asbury, but you'd be surprised how many are like second time. I call the principal, I'm like, well then the principal will be in your room all day long because that's not going to work. And the principal doesn't have time for that. So then have a list of questions at the end about their school to show that you've done research. And then I did this and our mind were really impressed with this. Ask how you can improve your interviewing skills. So like when I interviewed at Rosenwald, when I was done, I was like, hey, like I'm really just wanting to get a job. Can you tell me what I can improve on to get it for my next interview to make sure I'm doing a good job? And they thought that was really awesome because once again, it's showing I'm reflecting and I really want to do a nice job. So lastly, have a good relationship with your cooperative teacher. My cooperative teacher literally got me my job at Warner. She emailed Babalusha, the principal, and said, you need to check out this girl. And so he emailed me and was like, before you consider anyone else, make sure I talk to you. So like your cooperative teachers you're in their rooms because they're good teachers. They are well known in the district. I would make sure you have a good relationship with that person. And I would go above and beyond to impress them because they can get you a job a whole lot easier than anyone else can. Here are my favorite engagement books. You guys know Kagan, right? Okay. Teach Like a Pirate is hysterical. It's really good for high school kids. He is a very out-of-the-box thinker. Some of the things I was like, yeah, right, I would look like a fool in front of my 4th graders to try. But like for high school, some of these things really work. And then the Whole Brain Teaching Child book, that is one of my favorites. The more you can have your kids saying, doing silly, ridiculous hand motions, the more they are paying attention and they're going to remember. For every math concept, for every science concept, point of view. Today we did point of view. Who is telling the story? And my kids on K-Prep, no joke, for sedimentary rocks, they're sitting there on the K-Prep test and the sediments are deposited. And I see my kids sitting there doing the motions because then they remember it. So the more silly, ridiculous things you do with them, the more they remember. I think engagement is one of the most important things you can do as a teacher. If you are standing up there and your kids aren't saying a word, they're not paying attention to you at all. Today in my lesson, Amanda can vouch. I was like, is there crickets in here? I don't hear anyone speaking. And then they all laughed, and then we all brought back together. The more they can say, the more they can do, the more they can talk, the more they're going to remember and learn. Here are my favorite teaching websites. Study Jams is fantastic for science. It literally fully explains in depth everything you're trying to teach. Of course, you've heard of Brain Pop, I'm sure. Dr. Binox, or Binox, I always say it wrong. He's really good, but make sure you're filtering. One time his video was not appropriate that I showed. The NJCTL, that's the New Jersey site for science. It's fantastic. It already has a ton of assessments on there, tons of formatives, and it really breaks down the standards well. Yes?
Some of these students are feverishly trying to write down everything.
I can send you it.
I was gonna say, you can
Yeah.
send it.
Yeah, I can send the PowerPoint.
She can send you a link and then you can get it.
Yeah.
So
I
don't feel
don't
like you
care.
have to write everything.
And the reason I have a PowerPoint is because I told Dr. Rowell I could not stand up here and talk from my behind, because that is not my personality at all. I told you my 4th graders don't even look at me. And so, well, they do because I make them. But they, I also think, I have a PowerPoint for every single day for every single lesson. It's visually appealing. The kids want to look at it. They can read with me. They can participate. And it makes my lessons very smooth. I also can put all the high-level questionings that I want in there. If my principal gives me feedback, I can put it straight in my PowerPoint, and then I know I'm going to do it in that lesson. So if you are someone who's like me that's really organized and likes it, I think PowerPoints and Google Slides are the way for you. And you make them 1 year, and you have them for the rest of the years. Okay, so for math, I excel. Who's heard of Prodigy? Prodigy is fantastic. The kids think they're playing a video game. It's amazing. Google Classrooms, I am one-to-one with Chromebooks, and I absolutely love Google Classroom. My kids, you can steal them right from, or pay for them right from Teachers Pay Teachers, upload them, the kids complete it on their own, they all work on different levels. Lastly, I have Reading Lexia, you've heard of, I'm sure, ReadWorks, and then I like Reading Plus as well. Those are my favorites. This is just some of my favorite teaching resources. Julia Cook is my favorite author. She teaches all self-help books. So we start, when I'm teaching expectations in the beginning of the year, or when I'm teaching, I have a child who lies constantly, there's a book about lying. There's a book about personal space. Every little issue that arises, these books are fantastic, and they go on to explain why you should not be doing these things. Maybe it's the school counselor in me, but I think they're wonderful. These are something that Michelle Reynolds at the district constantly has all of our first year teachers look at. These are the Common Core companions for math and reading, and I think they go all the way up to high school. They break the standard down and they tell you what's before in the standard and what's after in the standard for each grade. But they give great examples of what the content should look like. And then the Jan Richardson guided reading is my favorite for guided reading. This is Ready Common Core. Oops, let me go back. This is also one of my favorite. They have it for reading and for math. Fantastic, in-depth, very rigorous questions. So if you're really wanting to push your kids for testing, not that that's the all end all be it all, but we have a job that we have to do. That is fantastic. You can buy these right off of Amazon too. This is Second Steps. In Jessamine County, we have to teach social emotional learning, and this is my favorite guidance program. It gives you step-by-step lessons, videos, everything. My kids love it. It's very engaging. And I just like, yes, I have my master's in school guidance counseling, but I didn't go to Asbury for it. So it was very intimidating. I was pulling random things off Pinterest, like, I'll teach kindness this week, and I'll teach this week. Whereas this program gives it to you. Yes?
We did.
You do?
This. Yeah, and it was like, the engagement part is like, great, like, all the kids can like be engaged. They really like it.
Yeah, and like first and second grade has
That's
cute
what-
little puppets.
That's what we did.
Which I'm
It was
kind of glad I
first
don't
and
have that
second.
because I'm terrible at voices. But I'm glad that they have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like ours in fourth grade, we have videos that they watch, and they're like real kids in the videos.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. And like this week, we're focusing on the difference between bullying and teasing, which every child in the whole world needs to hear because they think everything is bullying. Yes,
Do you do this like once a week?
I do it every day.
Every day?
So I do it every day for 15 minutes, and we do a 15 minutes like second step lesson, and then we do our mission statement, and then we start math. So it's like just a positive thing every morning. On Fridays, I have a morning meeting book, and they like make a little poster each week of what they learned during morning meeting, like a cue card for themselves. So that way, by the end of the year, they have all of these strategies we've done. Like we've already done listening with attention. We've already done being assertive, how to stand up for ourselves, things like that. So it's like really good things that unfortunately our kids do not get at home at all.
You sing the song?
No, we don't. Oh, the walk, walk, walk song?
No.
No, we don't have this song. Well, that might be
It's a
pushing
really
it with
catchy
my
song.
kids. We're pushing it with some of the videos. I have to tell them, like, I know it's corny, but pay attention. These are my Google Classrooms. I would recommend having one for every subject. It gets less complicated, a lot more organized. You can just put up the assignments in every classroom. I also, for like our win time, all fourth grade teachers use the same Google Classroom because we switch kids. So then it's all like any kid in fourth grade can use it. Here is a plus delta. Who's heard of a plus delta? Okay, some. Okay. I want to show you this because this is my favorite reflection strategy that I have. So we all know that it's our job as teachers to teach the lesson. The kids actually perform and do it. It's a difference. We all constantly reflect on our teaching. We know how the lesson went, but do the kids know how they're doing? So before the test, so let's say I'm going to give a math test on Friday, I would do this plus delta on like Wednesday. So that way I still have like 2 days to prepare and help them before the actual test. You write all the I can statements that you taught throughout the whole unit. They go by and they put a plus sign if they feel like they've mastered it. They put a delta, a triangle, if they feel like they still need to work on it. And my high school friends do this with their high schoolers as well. Then, for the next 2 days, they go around and do stations, and they work on everything they still need to work on before the test. After the test, I hand them their test back, and they see, now how did you really do? If you got all the questions correct, you still have a plus. If you didn't, you still have a delta. You still need to work on it and get better at it. I'm going to show you my example of this. So this is like my one for multiplication. I showed you all the I can statements like I use. Let me zoom in just a hair. So before the test, they see before the test I still need to work on, and then I will do this by. So some of my kids write, I will do this by asking Miss Seelig for help. I will do this by working on iExcel at home. I will do this by making sure I ask a friend to help me with rounding these kind of problems. So like it puts the kids in charge of their learning. It also isn't a big shock to them when we have it on the test because they know everything that's on the test is found right here in my I can statements. Then after the test, I give them their test back. They write their score and the percentage, so like 4, 3, 2, 1. The reason I give my kids a percentage, even though we have 4, 3, 2, 1 in Jessamine County, is because it pushes my high kids. So like, if you get 100 on everything, then that's as high as you can possibly go. But sometimes you can get like a 94 and it still be considered a 4. So my kids who are high like to compete with the percentages. On my test, something I did really well. So that's where they write all of their pluses. I did the double strategy. I did the ×4 strategy. Then, for something they still need to work on, that's where they write, like, I still need to work on my 6s or my 8s. After that, my test score shows that, I need to pay attention to math a little bit more, or I need to ask for some help. But it puts the kids, and what I do is I list all these things on the board, and then they can pick what they still need to work on or why they still need to work on it. It really puts the kids in the learning process. Jessamine County is going in a direction of Plan, Do, Study, Act. And this is a huge component of it. So every single math, reading, science unit, we do plus deltas because the kids are very aware then and they're keeping track of their data. So that's just something I wanted to share with you. As well as, so I told you I drive 45 minutes every single day. Yes, please ask questions. Go for it.
Do you keep data folders?
Yes, I have leadership binders, and I have a tab for behavior. And every week they graph their behavior, and then every month they graph their behavior based on colors. And then based on that, they set goals for the next month. I have a math data section, and that's where they write down all of their scores that they have for everything. Like every test that they get back, they write it. Behind that, they keep all their plus deltas, and then I also have them do a test reflection for every plus delta. So we constantly reflect.
That's different than that. Okay.
And what that looks like, I can find it for you. What that looks like is it has like question 1, did I get it right? Yes or no? Why did I get it wrong? What could the correct answer be? So like it's then actually analyzing their test and figuring out what they need to change. So we do that for math and reading. I also have IXL logs where they keep track of all the IXL logs, like levels that they beat. And my kids get paid for based on how many levels. So if they beat 5, they get paid $3 in the classroom. And I also do, which I don't have an example in front of me. If I just taught place value, then I make an IXL checklist that covers all. It covers all of. Who is this? That might determine what's in here.
Oh, well,
No, he should be good.
it should be good.
The IXL levels, it tells. Yeah, here they are. So they're checklists, and so like once I've taught a concept, then I give them the addition checklist, and then at their own pace, when it's like independent work or they finish something, they go and they try to master all of the IXL levels that we've already taught them. And my kids get paid $5 for passing a checklist. So like I just constantly motivate them with classroom money to do those things. So does that answer your leadership question binder? And we have it for reading too. Like we graph our reading data. We also graph our Lexia units each week because they can be on Lexia all day long and not learn a thing. And they're not passing units, they're faking you out. Doesn't matter if they have 200 minutes. I tell my kids I don't even look at the minutes. Thank you, because that doesn't mean anything to me. If you leave your computer open, the minutes keeps going. So.
Do you consider 3 and 4 proficient or just 4?
For this district, 4 is mastery. So they want everyone to have a 4.
So, but 3 and 4 is proficient and then 4 is mastery.
In my data, I graph who's 3 and 4 because to me that's a more of a realistic goal. Right. Especially when you have special ed and everything involved. And I feel like, so mine is 100% of all students will score an 80 or above, which is a 3 or a 4. And we're still not there. We still have a lot of room to grow. But unfortunately, I think 4 is hard because 4 means you miss 1 or 0. So you have to be basically perfect to master everything. And so 3 and 4 is our proficient. So, great questions. I like that you're asking questions.
And state tested, you alluded to that earlier, so how much influence, how does that drive what you do? Is that something you start working on in February or March, or?
I'm overthinker and an overanalyzer, and I study data way too much.
No, that's why I want you to answer it.
Yes. They say don't teach to the test. For real, it's August. On August, I'm like, please, Faye, this is the only time of year you're gonna get it. Pay attention. You know what I mean? I'm like, pay attention to me.
So when you're teaching something this Tuesday, you know whether or not that's a topic covered on the test?
You don't look at the test. I know.
I said a topic on the test.
Yeah. Yes, a topic. Yes, very well. So we have power standards in Jessamine County, and that is what they think is on the state testing the most. However, after year 1, you will clearly see what is on there the most. And so I teach everything to the depth of the standard, first of all, and I make sure I'm covering the standard in depth for my grade. But then I also see, even like, for example, 4th grade, geometry is all over the test, but it is not a power standard for Jessamine County. So like, you just have to be aware, listen to your team. K-Prep does not drive my instruction. I care more about my kids mastering it for 5th grade. And that's what I tell them every single day is that like, yes, I want you to perform at the end of the year, but I want you to prepare for 5th grade so that way you're not behind in 5th grade and you can do well and move on and become a successful person in life. That is my focus. However, the test does dictate a lot of information for you as a teacher. So you can't be blind to it. I also am just very honest and blunt with my kids. Like, I focus a lot on teaching them strategies to answer multiple choice questions and making sure that I tell them, I don't know what the K-Prep reading passage is going to be, but if you know how to cross off wrong answers and circle keywords and explain things in your text, and you know how to write a short answer and mix in a response, it doesn't matter what passage they give you. So I teach my kids more test-taking strategies that they can use even in college. I used you guys like the other day. I was like, even the college kids have to cross off wrong answers. I like try to like prove to them to do things. So like, huh?
I'm a professor. I
Yeah.
have like a bunch of tests in my bag, and you can see them. You got
Yeah.
circle.
But they don't know those things in the 4th grade. They think I'm a Nazi making them do it. And they're like, I don't see why you're making me do this. And I'm like, well, it makes you improve on your scores. That's why I like graphing their data so much for each scores, is because then it starts being meaningful for them. They see, oh, when I actually listen to and see, like, and I use their strategies, my scores go up a whole lot more. So it does have a big impact, but it's not my focus. It is my focus when the scores come in October. Like I got them today, actually, my scores from last year. So I also care a whole lot more about the math test, because the math test shows growth. And to me, that is the most important thing. I want to make sure that every child in my classroom, even my lowest baby, is growing the most they can. I'm never going to get him to 5th grade, but I want to push him as high as I possibly can. So making sure you have every interview question, they always say, do all children have the same expectations? The answer is yes. You have the same expectations for all students, but it looks differently. You still push them to their highest potential, but you have to make sure that you're meeting their individual needs. So, does that answer your question? So, lastly, I had Jessamine County. I said I drive 45 minutes. I've heard a lot about Fayette. I'm not dissing Fayette. I've heard a lot about Madison. Jessamine County is the most welcoming and the district is the most involved I've ever seen. They are in your classrooms. They are helping you. I can email anyone over there and they're going to help me. When you send kids to the office, they're not going to play the Wii. And you laugh, but I have friends that work in Fayette County that happens. So you have behaviors, and they're helping you, and they are going to work with you. And I really feel like Jessamine County, the district employees are there for you. So that's just my little 2 cents about Jessamine County. Now, I'm from Northern Kentucky, so did I want to work in Jessamine County at first? No, I did not. But then when he offered it to me, I knew the school and I couldn't turn it down. And now I'm so happy I'm here, and I don't ever want to move from here. So please, who has questions, I did want to tell you, Dr. Brockman told me I have to tell you, first of all, if you have class with her and you don't know her, you need to get to know her. She's very well known in this district. I would listen to every single thing she has to say. She will not steer you wrong. She knows her stuff backwards and forwards, and she will get you any job in this district if you want it. She's very respected in Jessamine County.
2 things let me jump
yeah.
in there, because we're going to her house afterwards, so make sure you make a connection with her and that you shake her hand and tell her who you are. Because she's right. She knows everybody in this district, and there's not a principal more respected.
No.
So she teaches 2:30 human growth and development.
She just started this year, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
and she teaches
just
in the
retired
principal
from
program,
us.
so most of you won't have her for
Yeah.
a class. Is that right, Dr. Bixler?
Yeah.
So most of you won't have her for a class, so you'll need to, you wanna know her. And then when there's an opening, you want her calling that principal, dropping your name. That's what you want.
Yeah, for real. She'll get you.
If you
anything
walk
you
down this hallway right here, there's little flags out here that tells you the teachers' names. 4 of these flags are Asbury grads. 4 of these flags are Asbury grads. Well, 5 if I'm counting.
want. Just in
the
this
ceilings
hallway.
and
There's
what?
like 10 that way too.
Yeah, they love Asbury grads here in Jessamine County. They love you.
Well, and I feel like they respect Asbury. They know that their teachers are taught well, and they know that you guys are going to do the job. So if Jessamine County is somewhere you are interested in, I really think you have a good shot at getting a job here. You might not. I understand if you live somewhere else. Like Amanda, I know she has family elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? But if you have a good relationship with people in Jessamine County, they can get you a job in other counties. So they're very well, Jessamine County is respected in the state. So.
The person that she mentioned to you was Michelle Reynolds. That's the kind of her big boss. I talk with her before I place any student in Jessamine County. So she's heard, if you've got a placement in Jessamine County, she knows who you are.
One thing I would tell you, you know how you make like little bulletin boards for your classes and you make like little things. They're all wonderful if they don't have a purpose. My room looks like I threw things up there, but everything in my room has a purpose. My grandma walked in my room and she's like, holy crap, Jordan, you have stuff everywhere. And I was like, Grandma, it's all for a purpose. I don't have the alphabet just up on my wall. So like, make sure it's all for a reason. Like, I would recommend the more you put up, the more as a teacher you're going to remember and reflect on it. When I have 5 extra minutes in the day, I'm like, oh yeah, I taught about sedimentary rocks. Class, what is sedimentary rocks? And it like gives you a reference, even just to review. Of course, for K-Prep, I have to take it all down, but what I do is I just cover it, and then I don't have to take it down and put it up the next year. Our reading posters, we make one for every single unit, and we put it up as we go. Math is the same. So I wouldn't put it up like at the beginning of the year, but as you teach it, it's mine like an unspoken rule. Miss Felix taught it to you, it's up on the wall, now I'm expecting you to do it on your own. It's kind of like a word wall. So make sure your room, like yes, we want it to be beautiful and cute our first year, but it has to serve a purpose. The kids aren't going to look at it unless they know what it is. But Dr. Rao, what else? Do you have any other questions?
Well, I got 100 questions, but these kids don't like it, they're gonna keep asking them because they're ready to go to Dr. Brockman's.
There you go.
Tell me how you use your instructional assistant, your co-lab special ed teacher, the art, the music, the PE, the librarian. Do you partner with them in any way to help you meet those testing goals or instructional goals?
Your instructional assistants, you need to like really respect and cherish. They are the main, like literally they do all the grunt work that you don't have time for. We don't have any instructional assistants like signed to our classrooms. Like I don't have like my own personal one. Last year, I don't have special ed this year, but last year when I had special ed, I would have 3 instructional assistants in my room at a time to help me with my needs. Dr. Brockman kept giving them to me because I used them so well. If you're not going to use them, the principals aren't going to give them to you.
And they
because
won't do
they-
anything that you don't ask them to do.
Yeah, like, but my lead groups, they do everything. Like, so for reading, they're pulling 3 different groups, and they are doing the exact same thing I'm doing, but that allows me to work with other groups.